Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video in which we'll look at multiplying and dividing bases. So what does this mean? Well, if you have something like this, you've probably seen this before. You know we read this as 2 to the power of 4. So the number being raised to the power is called the base, hence the name multiplying and dividing bases. And this smaller number written at the top is called the index or power. So this is said to be in index form because it's something to the power of something. Now we know 2 to the power of 4 means you multiply the base 2 by itself 4 times. That's what powers are. You multiply this number by itself this many times. So when we write it out like this, it's called expanded form. Now what if instead of just having 2 to the power of 4, I multiplied it by, say, 2 to the power of 3? Well, this is 2 to the power of 4. If I multiply it by 2 to the power of 3, I need to add into this product 3 more 2's. But of course, you know that if you have 7 2's multiplied together, we can write that in index form as 2 to the power of 7. So we don't really want to write this out if we can avoid it because it takes a long time. There's a quick way. We could have gone from here straight to our answer. So notice when you have the same base, when you multiply bases together, you can just add together their indices or powers. So something like 3 to the power of 5 times 3 to the power of 6. I don't need to write out all the 3's, that'll take too long. When I multiply bases, in this case the base is 3, I keep the same base and add the powers. If I had something like 7 to the power of 12 times 7, note 7 is the same as 7 to the power of 1. Anything to the power of 1 is just itself. So this would be keep the same base and add the powers. What about if instead of doing 2 to the power of 4 times 2 to the power of 3, I did a division? So remember this fraction line here means divide. So on top, 2 to the power of 4 is just 2 times itself 4 times. And of course, 2 to the power of 3 is 2 multiplied by itself 3 times. Now we learned last year in fractions, when you have a fraction, you can cancel common factors on the top and the bottom. You can cancel anything as long as it's being multiplied. So I can cross out these 3 2's on the bottom as long as I cross out 3 2's on the top. What you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. So 2 to the power of 4 divided 2 to the power of 3 is just 2 or 2 to the power of 1. So once again, you can probably see there was a quick way I could have gone from here to the answer without writing all the 2's. I could have just kept the same base and subtracted the powers. That's the rule for dividing bases. So if you have something like 9 to the power of 8, divide 9 to the power of 5, you just keep the same base and subtract the powers. If you have something like 10 to the power of 12, divide 10 to the power of 6, you keep the same base and you subtract the powers. 12 minus 6 is 6. All right, let's look at a few harder questions now. So remember these powers here are also called indices, which is the plural of index. So each of these is a rule. It's called an index law. You'll end up learning a few index laws. This is the first and second of those laws. And they say just what I said on the previous slide. If you multiply the same base, keep the base, and add the powers. If you're dividing the same base, keep the base, and subtract the powers. So let's look at a question here. So I'm going to write this so that it's simplified and in index form. I'm not going to write the actual answer. I would never ask you to do something like 3 to the power of 9 without a calculator. So I'm not going to evaluate it, give it a value, just going to write it in index form. So it often is easier when we're in algebra or using index laws to write fraction lines instead of a division. So this is the first thing, and this is the second thing in the division. So when we have different bases here, do each different base separately. So we're going to do the 2's first. 2 to the power of 8 divided by 2. Well, remember, 2 is 2 to the power of 1. That will give you 2 to the power of 7. So we're going to times here because we were timesing there. So now 3 to the power of 9 divide 3 to the power of 8. You keep the same base and you subtract the powers. 9 minus 8 is 1. You don't need to write the 1, but it doesn't matter if you do. So we can extend these index laws when we're using variables. So if I have something like x to the power of 4 times y to the power of 9 divided by x to the power of 2 times y to the power of 3, for example, the same index laws apply. We're going to do different bases separately. So we'll do the x's first because x is the base in these two. So x to the power of 4 divide x to the power of 2, keep the same base and subtract the powers, 4 minus 2. Y to the power of 9 divide y to the power of 3. Here y is the base, so I keep the same base. I subtract the powers. 9 minus 3 is 6, and we're done. All right, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.